And what I want to do is, if I can't use the extrude yet, but I want to create a frame and separate the frame from the glass, so I'm going to do mesh, faces, faces, inset faces. And you'll notice the first thing it does is it tries to do it globally. If you look down here, you'll see there's different settings, and if you hit I for individual, let's just adjust it and clean it up. Now you see that we get this pretty basic frame that sets up and that we can start to work with. So now I want to select inverse, and at this point I can use the extrude individual like we did before. And now I've added my class, and at this point, while I have the glass selected, I can go in and separate it, and now it's its own object. And at this point, we can come in and we can call this glass. Now the glass, let's turn off and have the frame. And you can see we just have the glass. Now this is only a 2D object. If you want to add depth to it, there's actually a modifier called solidify. And what it does is it actually, let's try it. It actually takes the shape and it makes it thicker. So if you have a flat 2D shape, you can actually make it 3D using this process. And if you want more accurate modeling of light and those types of things, that would be what's recommended. So let's name this lamp house, and let's now hide this, and let's go up to the lamp frame. And what we want to do is we want to come in and look at this and do a little fixing, because right now the inside isn't modeled accurately. Go back to edit mode, edge selection mode, and grab these two and hit F. And what that does is it creates a face. And let me turn off transparent selection, and then we do the same thing here and hit face, and these two edges and hit face. And those two edges and hit face. And what I'm doing is I'm basically building the inside, and you go around and you would do that with everything, and it's just going to make it, when you go to model it, it's just going to make it easier and cleaner to use. So that's how we would go about making a simple lampshade. And as far as making the base, you could use the same technique we just used for the doorknob to create a different look, a unique base. So next one is good for picture frames, but you can also use it for molding. I'm going to add a plane again, and just go in and edit mode, and delete the face, and convert this over to curve. And now we want to add another shape, and add a curve, and just do a circle. And then I'll scale this down, and I'll move it. Well, I can move it over there. I'll move it over to the side, just for the time being. Okay, let's go ahead and do some editing on this. This is going to be kind of rough as far as getting edited. The first thing, once again, is we get these normals that show up, so you can get rid of that. And then I can come in and take some of these and then move this up and move it over. And let's take this, and what I want to do is I want to break some of these so that I can get some edges. Likewise, I want to break this one, 3, and then I put this here, and bring this up, and take this, bring that to get an edge, and take this one and move it over here, make that 3, and you can spend a lot of time just trying to get these forms exactly how you want them. So I'm just, like I said, at this point I'm just kind of playing around to see what I can get. Okay, so we have some type of profile or shape, and the neat thing about this technique, and this is another thing that's available through the object data for the curve, is you can do a bevel object. So I'm going to click this, and I'm going to choose the Bezier circle I just created, and it does basically path extrude or rail extruded that profile. Now, if I go back and I grab the profile, I can scale it real time. And if I want to do any other changes, I can actually go into edit mode and select something. And if I go to move it around, you see I get real time updating. So this is a really powerful technique, and you can use this for any of your molding, your windows, etc. And then you can copy it once you get things set up, and you can duplicate out different frames. So you could have different molding patterns, and you could just switch them back and forth. So let me rename this. So this is frame profile, and this is okay. So we have that done. The last one I'm going to talk about is subdivision surfaces. And once again, we'll start with a cube. And subdivision surfaces are a way to basically break down and work with polygon geometry to make it look organic. So you add it by adding a subdivision modifier. And right now the view and the render are different, so I always recommend just keeping them the same, especially for purposes of what we're doing. Don't do it too high though, because you can, I mean, if you go up to like 10 or something, you can, depending on your graphics card, you could crash or freeze your computer. Now, right now we have this round shape, but if I go into edit mode, you'll see that it actually is, I still have what they call the cage, which is the original shape that it derived from. So what we want to do is, at this point, let me just further subdivide this. So I'm going to select all the faces and subdivide once, and subdivide again. You'll see what happens is these parts stay straight, and now it just curves the edges. And then if I add a scale to this, I'm going to make it thinner, and then I have basically a cushion. So this is a technique you're going to use to make all the cushions, which is why I said just do a box for the time being. And if I go into vertex selection mode and I go to move things around, I can start to do a little bit of modification here and there to try to kind of make this look a little bit more organic. The trick with this is basically if you do individual vertices, it's a little tricky. So there's a thing called proportional edit mode. If you enable that, what it does is rather than selecting just a particular area, there's actually an area of influence that you can choose. So you can see you can do major or minor modifications on items. And this is really handy when you do something like up here where I can squish the whole thing, or I can take this area right here and I can use this to kind of squish it, etc. So you can do a lot of nice work to get something to look pretty organic pretty quickly using this technique. So all you do is you go in and you just kind of modify everything as is until you get a form or a shape that you kind of like. And once you get that set up, and then we go back to object mode. Now this doesn't have smooth on it, so if we add smooth shading, that's going to take it one layer closer. And then if we apply this, what we have now is if we go back into edit mode, we actually have a finer resolution, and at this point we can go back with our direct selection mode, and we can go to move things, and you can see we can get a lot more detail, and you can actually start to do things like actually do that. You see you can start to squish and squash and do all types of distortions. So it takes a little bit of time, but you can see you can get some pretty neat results, and that's how the subdivision surface works. That concludes this demo.